So to talk about where we're going and why, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, right? So before I became the illustrious platform guy, right? I went to high school. Everyone here went to high school? Most people went there, right? So, and I can speak for myself here. I don't know if I can speak for you guys. If sports didn't exist, I would not have finished high school, right? And I mean that, right? I've got the most voracious ADD of anyone I've ever met. It's not, that's a square peg in a round hole, right? But I made it through high school, I did my best, and then I went to university, right? And I went to university for 4 years and I got a business degree, right? Anyone, any uni graduates here? Any uni attendants, right? Cool, does anyone else regret it? Right? Because I tell you one thing, right? I spent $80,000 on a business degree, right? We now have 4 offices and I have 2 other businesses, right? Do you know how many times I've used that piece of paper? Zero times, right? But as most of us do, you very rarely intentionally get into this industry. You're not born and bred to go, I'm going to get into sales, right? You kind of stumble into it. And I broke my hand, and at the time I was a professional cage fighter, and I needed a non-violent way to make money. And so I ran into a guy, and he told me about this job, and I was like, all right, we'll give it a go, right? And it was the best thing I ever did in my life. So much so that I mean this sincerely, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate, I learned more in my first 3 months of this job, right, than I did in a 4-year business degree. And not by a small amount, right?